What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Waves Weekly, my series where I talk about video game news and what I think about stuff that's happening in the video game industry. Today, we have multiple things to talk about, like most episodes, of course, but we got some pretty juicy things to dive into. Starting off with today, we're going to be talking about Sony doing its things again. Now, after the Bluepoint situation, Sony says they will stop bringing PS5 exclusives to PC because they're not selling. Wow. Didn't we see the same thing with Bluepoint games being shut down just because their games weren't selling? Now, the whole entire PC community is at risk of not receiving PlayStation games because of this. And one thing I was really looking forward to play is Ghost of Yotei. I'm a huge Ghost of Tsushima fan, and I really hope Yotei comes to PC before any of this stuff happens. But anyways, lots of people from multiple sources are saying that Sony's going to pull away from PC, such as John Linman from Digital Foundry, and leaker Nate the Hate says the decision to shift away from supporting PC was made last year. One thing I'm really lucky about, though, is obviously the Death Stranding 2 release for PC. This is more of obviously Kojima's decision, though, because he's always been about multiple platforms, and we'll probably see Death Stranding 2 come to even Xbox in a couple months. But we're starting to see a really reoccurring theme with Sony. Whenever they realize that the profits aren't at somewhere they're putting investments in, they instantly pull away from it. I don't know if this is some corporate greed type of thing, as I mentioned last episode, but this is affecting gamers. And when I think of Sony, I ultimately think of PlayStation. A lot of other people might think of them for their TVs and appliances and stuff, but I honestly think that a good portion of Sony's revenue comes from PlayStation. Look at this chart. We could see in 2020, 2021, 2022, 23, 24, 25, they're earning in the billions of dollars. And then you see with PC and Xbox, they're in a much smaller number, but still a very large amount of money, 2.4 billion compared to all those other big numbers. But you can't just cut away from PC or Xbox because there's such a small library of PlayStation games on PC and Xbox. This number could be bigger, probably bigger than all of the other numbers of these years if they would just add more exclusives to PC. If they would just listen to the gamers for once and actually do things that people want, I believe that they would make money. But instead, they have this idea that if they take away games from PC, then it will force people to buy a PS5 and therefore earn them more money because they'll be forced to pay PSN, whatever. But I just think it's all stupid. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to play some of my favorite games, and I sold my PS5 a long time ago so I could get my PC. And I've played multiple PlayStation games on my PC, and I've had a great time doing them. I mean, The Last of Us 1 and 2. And if it means I have to buy a PS5 again just to play some new exclusives, that's absolutely ridiculous. And when I further read into this article, it says Bloomberg reports that plans for PC versions of last year's Ghost of Yotei and the forthcoming Seros, along with other internally developed games, have been scrapped as a part of a strategic shift. I really hope this isn't true. And here's the thing that really confuses me. PlayStation usually tends to do PC ports a couple months, sometimes even years, after the original release date back on console. And they're confused why their games aren't selling literal years and months after the game originally released. The hype has died down. They're not going to spend a ton of money doing a new hype trailer or a bunch of new marketing for it. Some people don't want to buy the game because they might have even forgotten about it, or they could have just played it on their PS5, which some people have. People buying PlayStation games, I wouldn't say is a small majority on PC, but it's definitely a majority that's not large compared to other developers like Capcom and multi-platform developers who publish on multiple platforms. If they started putting PlayStation exclusive games on PC day one, then maybe I could see they would earn more profit and people would buy their games more at launch. It's just pretty simple what I think, but hey, that's at least what I think. I could be totally wrong, but I'm still hyped for Death Stranding 2, and I'm glad that this doesn't affect it. But I'm sure Kojima Productions and Sony had a deal that it lasted about 9 months to where they could put the game on PC once that period's over. But overall, this is very disappointing for PC players, and I really hope Sony decides to change their mind. But there's been a pattern, and I don't think Sony's going to change their mind. But hey, we could always have hope, and I'm going to try to have hope. Let's move on to the next topic, though. Over here, we got Solid Snake sneaking up on Mind's Eye launch, apparently. Prior to the launch of Mind's Eye, the Build a Rocket Boy studio, that that game that got really hyped up, that was supposed to be like the next GTA. Mike Gerhard said that over the past months, we've been working with external partners and legal advisors to investigate the criminal activity that took place around our launch. He said this posted on LinkedIn. That work has taken far longer than expected, but it has now resulted in overwhelming evidence of organized espionage and corporate sabotage affecting Mind's Eye. Because this matter is moving toward prosecution, we cannot share the full details publicly yet. Big Boss himself must have infiltrated Build a Rocket Boy Studios and done a little bit of typing on their computers and deleted some files so the game could have had that disastrous launch. If this wouldn't have happened, we might have gotten a game better than GTA 6, That 3 out of 10 rating would have went to a 11 out of 10. Anyways, all jokes aside, this game had a disastrous launch, as everybody knows. I don't know if the CEO is bluffing or anything like that. I honestly have no idea, but I just think it was kind of funny to share this story. Just look at the game. Like, it launched with tons of bugs, and the story was bland, and I just didn't even think twice about it because I just kind of looked at it and was able to tell. But just thought I'd share. And on other news, we have some more news from my Assassin's Creed fans. Ubisoft is actually doing something with their older Assassin's Creed IPs, and they're doing a remaster/remake of Black Flag, and it's basically confirmed. They published a brand update for the Assassin's Creed series recently, covering the latest developments with the TV show and Netflix, and there was a breakdown image for Assassin's Creed Black Flag resynced, and it's basically confirmation of a remaster/remake of Black Flag, and it's happening or rumored. I really hope we could see this game because I played this game when I was younger, and I would really like to see it. I don't even remember like half of what the game's about, but I know I love Assassin's Creed games. I played the VR one. That one was pretty cool, and some of the newer ones, which are kind of but I really do like the Assassin's Creed series just in general. It really interests me. I like those stealthy type of games. And I really hope we see something good from Ubisoft and that they could actually start using their IPs or something, because their original games recently haven't been too good, so least they can do is just do some remakes. Along with that same little thing, we got something called Codename Invictus, which is a Assassin's Creed multiplayer PvP game. I don't know how that's going to work. And Codename Hex, which is going to be a unique, darker, narrative-driven Assassin's Creed. Don't know about that one either. But anyways, y'all, that's all I have to really talk about in today's episode. Kind of just a lot of stuff in between. But in all, it's a pretty good episode today. We got some pretty good news. Hope y'all have a great one, and thanks for watching. Later.